We're going to be talking about how to make an appointment at the DMV, which is pretty much required. We're just going to call it required. You have to make an online appointment before you show up to an office in person to do anything. We're going to talk about how you can avoid going to the DMV if you are actually doing something that can be done online. And we'll talk a little bit about the new Real ID requirements as one of the reasons why you might need to go to the DMV. We all know that visiting a DMV office can be frustrating. It can be time consuming. We're trying to make it as painless as possible by showing you some of the steps you can take to streamline your DMV appointment and make sure you get the most out of your visit too, so you don't have to go back. You don't have to spend more time there than required for what you need to do. So the first thing we want to talk about is accessing the DMV website. This is where you're going to need to go to make a DMV appointment, to get any sort of information, download forms, that sort of thing. So we're just going to go first to the main DMV homepage. So as with other websites, so it's not an app, it's a website. And what you're going to do is locate on your phone the app that you use to access the internet. So Safari, Google Chrome, you might just have an app on there that's pre-installed called Internet. Take a second to find it. So we're going to go to Chrome on mine. I also have this one called DuckDuckGo, but we're going to use Chrome for this one. And you're going to type in dmv.ny.gov and then hit go. So using whatever app you use to access the internet. And now I'm just scrolling down on it a little bit so you can see what that main page looks like. So dmv.ny.gov. I wanted to note about language access here. The DMV website is fortunately available in a number of different languages. Let me show you how to switch your language on it. It's a little bit of a universal symbol, but make it clear that Earth up there, or the globe, you're going to click on that and then click the language that you want. So that was Spanish. Going to go back up and click on it and do Chinese. And we can go back up and switch to English. So when you do that, that'll actually translate the whole site for you. It's not just that front page. That's really helpful. Just set that up before you start doing anything and you should be good to go. The first question you might want to ask yourself is, do I need to actually go to a DMV office? So if there's something that you can do online or by mail, makes sense to do it that way because you get to avoid having to make an appointment, having to show up in person at a DMV office. So that's good news. You might not have to go to one at all. I'll show you in a second where it says online transactions. That will tell you the things that you can do online and some by mail as well. So let's look at that real quick. So from here, most of what you get to on here is going to be those 3 lines. And then you're going to go down where it says online transactions. We're going to be focusing like on licenses and IDs, not like commercial stuff or business things, just because I think it's more pertinent to our lives. I'm just going to go to online transactions, and then I'm going to go to license and ID transactions. So this is going to tell me what I can do online. So I can change my address. I can check the mailing status of a license, permit, or ID. I can replace a license or a non-driver ID if it's in the same class. So if I'm not upgrading to a real ID or an enhanced ID, which we're talking about, if you need to just replace your ID to get the exact same one again, you can do that online. You can pay tickets online. You can schedule a road test. There's a number of things that you can do online as opposed to having to go into an office. So check that first, just to make sure that the thing that you're trying to do is something you really do have to go in person for, because if you don't, then you can save yourself the trouble. About, let's say the thing you want to do is not in those online services. It says you do actually have to show up in person to get the service that you need. So what you're going to need to do is make a reservation at your nearby DMV office. So this was something that started when COVID began. So in order to limit the number of people they had in the building and to sort of coordinate around that, they started requiring you to make a reservation online before showing up in an office. It's pretty much still required. It says strongly recommended. Just go ahead and do it. Because one of the things that Christina was telling me about her recent DMV appointment was that she saw people turned away who didn't have an appointment. So don't risk it. Just go ahead and make the online appointment. From what I can see of the scheduling system for DMV offices, they tend to be very busy anyway. So the likelihood that you would get turned away without an appointment is pretty high. So make sure that you do this so that you can ensure that once you show up there, you will actually be let inside the building. So to start your reservation for an in-person appointment, you're going to start by clicking on those 3 dots again. And then you're going to say contact or visit. And then you're going to select DMV office locations and reservations. And that's the screen we'll work from next. Let me show you that one more time. So the 3 lines, contact or visit, DMV office locations and reservations. To find the DMV office closest to you, you're going to scroll down on that page and you can enter your city or whatever. I use zip code. If anybody in East Harlem, the closest DMV location is going to be the Harlem DMV office that's on 125th between Malcolm X and 5th Avenue. Let me play that one more time. So we're going to put in 10029. And I have the radius is like 10 miles or something. It's always going to bring up the one that's closest to you. And it's that Harlem office. And then you can select the office. We're going to say view details for Harlem. It'll show us the office hours, location, the services that they do in person. It's good to check on this because different offices do different services. So check and see that what you need to do is something that they offer. And then you're going to click on that button that said make a reservation. So view all details. Scroll down, there's a map up there too. Location, office hours, dates that the office will be closed, an updated list of what they do at this location, and then little notes if there's something specific, and then click on make a reservation. So we're going to start from there. Click on the make a reservation button. It's going to tell you that you're leaving the DMV page. It's actually just going to a different part of the DMV website, but just say okay here. It's taking you to the scheduling section of the site. So select your preferred language. And from there, click on new reservation. So here you'll enter your first name, last name, email address. You have to make sure you have the email address to contact here. It's a required field, and then you're going to confirm your email address. And then you can put in your cell phone number. This isn't like they're going to send you random things. They send you just a text to confirm your appointment that has the barcode that you need to scan on it as well. So I find that helpful because then you have it in your email and you have it in your text messages. It's 2 different places just in case you have trouble finding one. But you don't have to put that in there if you don't want to. If you'd rather just have it in your email, that's okay too. After we do that, we're going to press continue at the bottom of the screen. And then we're going to select what service we're going to need when we go, what we're making the reservation for. For this example, we're going to look at services under this category of driver's license, permit, and non-driver ID. Again, you have registration and title services if you have to do something specifically about your car. And then you can check additional services if there's anything different that you're looking for. So for us, we're going to do this. We're going to say, get a non-driver ID. That's what we're going to do for this example. We need a non-driver ID. And we're going to click on view availability. So again, select your service category, then select your service. There's a bunch to choose from. And say view availability. And it'll show you the different counties to choose from. So go ahead and select New York County, and you'll see that Harlem office. I'm just scrolling down to show you there are other ones too. There's nothing in April, there's nothing in May. We started having things available in June. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that June 6th and make it at 1:15 and then hit confirm reservation. So that's important. Just click your county again, click the location. And then all those gray ones are not open. You need the black numbers for a day that's open, and then it'll give you time options. So then hit confirm reservation. And once you have done that, if you just enter your email address, you'll just get this as an email. So I scrolled down on this email and took a picture of it. This is your barcode. This is what you'll scan at the building. So it's really important that you hold on to this email or you hold on to the text. This is the text version of it here that gives you a link that takes you to the barcode, because you're going to need to scan that barcode when you get inside the building. And they're also going to check that you have a barcode before letting you in the building. So it's really important that you hold on to that. That is your ticket inside. The email will also include information about what you can bring with you, what to know before you get there. And then it has links to reschedule or cancel your reservation if you need to do that. So hold on to that until your appointment so you can get into your appointment. I want to say thank you to Christina for all these tips about the DMV because she was recently there. I haven't been there in a minute. So this is really helpful because I don't think I've had to navigate some of this to this degree. So thank you, Christina. One thing that I wanted to note beforehand so I don't forget is something that she just told me is that you can't have more than one appointment in the system at a time. So let's say you see that there's an open date at the Harlem location, but then you see there's another open date downtown. You can't make two different appointments to just say you'll show up to one or the other. You have to just do one. You have to place your bets in one place. It won't let you do more than one at once. Other things to keep in mind, the time that you put on your reservation, so that 1:15 that I just did, that's the time that you need to get there. You might not even get into the building at that point. You have to wait in line if there's a line outside, which they do for crowd control. And also, that really is more the time you need to show up. So just plan that your appointment could happen later than that, or very likely will happen later than that. You may have to wait. For the first appointments of the day, they don't open the building until 7:30 a.m. So there's generally a line outside beforehand. Security outside the building, like I mentioned, will check that you have a barcode and a confirmation email before letting you inside the building if there is a line outside. So make sure you have that ready. That's the point where some people will get turned away if you don't have a reservation. So make sure you have that on you. Once you get inside, you're going to scan your barcode at the kiosk. There should also be an agent there to provide you with the forms you need for the particular service. You'll get a ticket that has a number on it. And after that, find a seat if you can and watch the screens and listen for your ticket number. The Harlem DMV office is accessible. Generally, there's escalators, but there are elevators that are towards the back on the first level, and they open right up to where the line is upstairs. Christina also said, bring some kind of entertainment. It can be really boring. Make sure your phone's charged. If you want to be doing stuff on your phone, it could be a long wait. And after your visit, you'll receive a link to a survey so you can provide feedback on your experience. And you'll get that via the same means that you got that barcode. And then I want to make one quick note about Real ID, just because there's changes in policy with that coming up very soon. If you've heard anything about Real ID, starting on May 7th of this year, so next week, you have to have a Real ID or an enhanced ID to board a domestic flight or to enter a federal building or military base. The exception to this is you can do this with your passport as well. So if you're someone who has an updated passport, you can use that as opposed to one of these IDs. That's what I've done. I have the passport and I still have the old ID. I'll get my old ID updated at some point. But if I was to go into like a federal building or if I had to take a domestic flight, I'd use my passport. But if you don't have a passport or if you want this, they're going to start making Real IDs in the future anyway. So it makes sense to go ahead and do this when you get a chance. So if you need to change your standard state ID to a Real ID or enhanced ID, you have to go to the office. You have to make an appointment at the DMV to make that change. I put two links in here. One of them is the DMV's just information site about what Real ID and enhanced ID are, and then a YouTube video that's about that as well. But just so you know, the difference really is that an enhanced ID you can use for all of those things. You can use for domestic flights, you can use for entering federal buildings or military spaces. You can also use it instead of a passport if you're going to Canada or Mexico. And those IDs cost a little bit more and they'll have a flag in the top right-hand corner. But then the Real ID, you can't use that for going into Canada and Mexico, but you can do everything else with it. You can board domestic flights, you can go on federal property, and that will have a star in it. So when you're getting on a flight, and if you're using an ID and not a passport, they'll check to make sure that the corner of your ID either has that star or that flag. And that'll mean that that is an okay ID to use for that flight. Same with if you're going into a federal building. So just keep that in mind. Don't get stuck at an airport or somewhere not having the right documentation. That would be really bad. If you're somebody who has a passport, keep that with you when you're going on flights anyway, just as a backup. So just to keep this in mind, they pushed this off for many years. I think it was supposed to be starting around the time that COVID started, and then they pushed the deadline back and pushed it back. And so now it actually is going into effect. So please do keep that in mind if you're going either to a federal building or you're taking a flight, that you just have to make sure that you have either enhanced ID, Real ID, or a passport. Well, a lot of ID things, you can use the Express DMV, which is so much quicker. The closest one is in Midtown for most people in Manhattan. And those you still need to make an appointment, but it's easier in and out.